Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, a warm welcome to MargaretsPearlsTV family. This is a channel that prides itself on faith, lifestyles and social issues. Last week, we started the abuse series and focused on men as victims of domestic violence. This week, I bring you information on women and their experiences of domestic abuse and violence, particularly as vast majority of victims of domestic abuse are women. Again, this remains a highly sensitive topic. In this episode, I will define domestic abuse, share domestic abuse and violence statistics relating to women, why women stay in abusive relationships, effects of domestic violence on women, effects of domestic violence on children, legislations to protect against domestic violence, how to leave an abusive partner, help and support available. At this junction, may I share with you some, I repeat some. These are some clues and indicators of a person experiencing domestic violence, such as a person moves away from his or her network. During football season, there is a link between team wins and defeats, and perpetrator behavior and the use of substances such as alcohol and drugs further increase risk from men to women, amongst others. Protecting others from abuse by reporting to authorities is all our business. And avoid emailing a victim of domestic abuse, and be mindful of voice message content to a person experiencing or at risk of domestic abuse. So what is domestic abuse and violence? Domestic abuse is an incident or pattern of incidents of controlling, coercion, threatening, degrading, psychological and or emotional abuse, financial abuse, economic abuse, harassment, bullying, stalking, online or digital abuse and violent behavior, including sexual violence, in the majority of cases by a partner or ex-partner, but also by a family member or carer. It also includes different forms of family violence, such as forced marriage, female genital mutilation, and so-called honor crimes that are perpetrated primarily by family members, often with multiple perpetrators. Let's look at statistics in the United Kingdom and globally. In 2015, that is 6 years ago, on average, the police in England and Wales receive over 100 calls relating to domestic abuse every hour. 100 calls relating to domestic abuse every hour. That was 6 years ago. Can you imagine now? By the end of 2018, only 18% of women who had experienced partner abuse in the last 12 months reported the abuse to the police. For the year ending March 2019 in the United Kingdom, an estimated 1.6 million women aged 16 to 74 years experienced domestic abuse. 1.6 million women. Globally, an estimated 736 million women, which is almost 1 in 3, have been subjected to intimate partner violence, non-partner sexual violence, or both at least once in their lifetime. Furthermore, COVID-19 increased risk factors for violence against women. Globally, 137 women are killed by a member of their family every day. In the United Kingdom, 2 women are killed weekly. 2 women are killed daily. That is, on average, 104 women every year are killed as a result of domestic violence. Lastly, in the United Kingdom, 1 in 3 cases of domestic violence and abuse against women starts during pregnancy. If the relationship is already abusive, it can get worse. Do you wonder why women stay in abusive relationships? Every woman staying in an abusive relationship needs our support, enablement and empowerment rather than blame, while holding abusers solely accountable for their behavior. Here are just a few reasons that prevent a woman from leaving an abusive relationship. The first one is danger and fear, especially as there is a huge rise in the likelihood of violence after separation. Many women are reportedly killed after separation. Fear is constant and they live in a world of everyday terror. Secondly, isolation reduces contact and increases dependency on the abuser. Thirdly, shame, embarrassment by the women whilst the abuser denies and blames her. Victims may be ashamed or make excuses to themselves and others to cover up the abuse. Number 4, trauma and low confidence. Victims are often traumatized, regularly told you couldn't manage on your own, you need me. Number 5 are practical reasons. Abusers often control every aspect of their victim's life, making it impossible to have a job or financial independence. By controlling access to money, women are left unable to support themselves or their children. They may fear having their children taken away, or if she has an insecure immigration status, may fear being deported. But there is a system in place legally for this. Number 6, the support isn't there when they need it. Asking for help is not easy. Misunderstandings about domestic abuse often prevent professionals from knowing what to do, how to talk about it, or where to direct women disclosing abuse. What are the effects of domestic violence on women? It takes huge strength to live with an abusive partner. Women have to adopt all kinds of coping strategies to survive each day. The rates of depression, anxiety disorders, unplanned pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, and HIV are higher in women who have experienced violence compared to women who have not, as well as many other health problems that can last even after violence has ended. What are the impact of abuse on children? A briefing by the Royal College of Psychiatrists in 2004 stated children may become anxious or depressed. They may have difficulty sleeping, have nightmares or flashbacks, easily startled. Children may complain of physical symptoms such as tummy aches or may start to wet their bed. They may have temper tantrums and problems with school. Also, they may behave as though they are much younger than they are. Some children become aggressive, or they may internalize their distress and withdraw from other people. They may have a lowered sense of self-worth. Older children may begin to play truants, start to use alcohol or drugs, begin to self-harm by taking overdoses or cutting themselves, or have an eating disorder. Children may also feel angry, guilty, insecure, alone, frightened, powerless, or confused. They may have ambivalent feelings towards both the abuser and the non-abusing parent. There are legislations to protect women against domestic violence, such as the Family Law Act 1986, introduced a single set of injunctive remedies such as non-molestation order and occupation order. There is also the Crime and Disorder Act 1998, Female Genital Mutilation Act 2003, Crime and Victims Act 2004 in regards to restraining orders, Domestic Violence Crime and Victims Act 2004, Civil Partnership Act 2004, Clare's Law, This is the Domestic Violence Disclosure Scheme, which is named after Claire Wood, who was murdered in 2009 by her boyfriend. It gives anyone a right to ask the police if they believe that they or someone they know is in a relationship with an individual that could be abusive towards them. Next is the Antisocial Behavior Crime and Policing Act 2014. Also, there is the Serious Crime Act 2015 regarding controlling or coercive behavior in an intimate or family relationship. And lastly, of recent, is the Domestic Abuse Act 2021. How does a victim of domestic abuse leave an abusive partner? If you think you're ready to leave, it's worth planning it carefully. Leaving can be dangerous as your partner may feel they are losing control of you. Please call the free phone 24-hour National Domestic Violence Helpline on 0808 2000 247. 0808 2000 247 to talk through your options. Staying in a refuge or emergency accommodation may be the safer option. What are the help and advice available? Some victims of domestic abuse wonder if it's their fault. It is not your fault. The abusers are responsible for their behavior. Placing the blame on somebody else is something that abusers often do to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. The blame game is a common one as victim. Abusers who use alcohol or drugs may say, "I was drunk" or "I don't remember." But this should not be a reason to let someone get away with hurting you. In 2015, Bosted postulated that women often have to travel many miles and uproot their lives to escape a violent perpetrator. There are on average around 10,000 migration journeys a year across local authority boundaries to access services in England and Wales because of domestic abuse. Please, if you are concerned about somebody or if you are concerned about yourself as a result of domestic violence, please talk to your doctor, health visitor or midwife. Call First Marriage Unit on 0207 008 0151. Call Respect Helpline on 0808 8024 040. Victim Support on 0808 1689 111. Call 999 if you feel threatened or you feel your life is at risk. There is also Refuge. You can also call Refuge on 0808 2000 247. If you have been affected by the issues in this episode, please contact Refuge on 0808 2000 247. Please like, comment and subscribe. Thank you for listening.